No, what you do is you put the cup of your hand underneath your armpit, and then you just kind of, oh, hi folks, I'm Matt, and welcome to My Expanded Universe, a show where I go through the entire EU in chronological order as best I know how. Whew! Okay, so now that we're done with Empire, let's talk about all those little things that happen in between, before, and after Empire. You know, I do this after every movie novelization, and there is a lot to go over. Now, we're only going to go over a few things today, and the first thing is the Steele Chronicles. Now, the Steele Chronicles were written by Russell DeMaria, and they focus on a TIE fighter pilot Merrick Steele as he is recruited, indoctrinated in the Imperial Order, and then becomes a TIE fighter pilot for the Imperial Navy. It was basically an extra little booklet, an extra thing that came in the special edition, or I can't remember, maybe the first edition of the TIE Fighter games. Later TIE Fighter games would not have that little novel in it. And if you can't find that edition with the novel in it, then go ahead and get the TIE Fighter Official Strategy Guide, which is basically that novel and a lot more. You see, a very smart way, just like the Farlander papers I talked about earlier, the Steele Chronicles was another brilliant idea to take instructions of a video game and turn it into a book. So just like the Farlander papers, we read a little bit about, Merrick Steele, and then he goes on a little mission, which is, of course, telling you how to fly your TIE fighter. And so he presses Y button, or, whatever button it was. And I mean, that part's kind of silly, but at the same point, how ingenious is it to take something and build it? It's so creative, so imaginative to build an instruction manual and tell it as a story. It's probably the only instruction manual that people have read cover to cover. I swear, it's such a great idea. Now, just like the Farlander papers, I got these at the same time. And reading through this was so much fun. And I remember, and I think I've told this story the same time when I was talking about the Farlander papers, but I was reading both of these while I was doing some show for the local theater here in town. And I was backstage just ripping through, the X-Wing and the TIE Fighter Official Strategy Guide. And these games are like 20 years old. And there's tons of people going, oh, so you play TIE Fighter? I played that when I was a kid. And I'm going, oh, no, I don't play it anymore. I just want to read the official strategy guide. I was so enthralled with it, because what an ingenious idea. And it basically has more continuity than you'd think, because in it, Merrick Steele talks about how there are, and he calls them clones, working for the Empire. Now, this was totally accidental. He's meaning that, they've indoctrinated all these people, that they're all thinking the same, saying the same thing, and I wouldn't be surprised if some of them seem like clones of each other. Yeah, because they actually were clones back then. Now, you could take that from a literal standpoint and say, aha, connections, which, yes, it does connect, but it is very accidental. They do have the, I can't remember, the president, or whatever the emperor was called before the prequels came out, whatever that name they've called him before. I think it was president, but that is also mentioned in there as well. But other than that, though, it's a really fun read. The Steele Chronicles. You can pick up the official strategy guide. I think it was Prima who did it. You can pick that up for like pennies on the dollar, because no one thinks it's worth anything, and it's actually an expanded universe novel, so to speak. So bravo for them. Excellent job. Fantastic thing to read. I think for the price especially, it's well worth your time. Now, the last one I want to talk about is a short story called Hunting the Hunters. It was in Star Wars Galaxy number 6, written by Bill Smith, and it focuses on Nerys. Nerys is a bounty hunter that he hates other bounty hunters, and he can hunt other bounty hunters. He kills them and whatnot. And so he abducts, or captures, I should say, a Bothan, and he's bringing him in, and that's when he hears about the summons from Lord Vader to say, hey, all the big bounty hunters, come to me. I've got something to tell you. I want y'all to go after Solo, but come meet me on my ship. And Nerys is like, I'm not going with all those bounty hunters. I hate the other bounty hunters. And he just kind of spurns Darth Vader's request To which, in kind that we hear about later on, the Empire puts out a $25,000 price on Neris's head. And now you, the gamer, can play as Neris, running around, running away from all these bounty hunters who are trying to kill you for spurning Vader from Empire Strikes Back. Of course, it ties into the old West End Games role-playing material, which is what the magazine was all about back then. And so it gives you the character stats of Neris, the bounty hunter, and everything, and you're like, ooh, this is the biggest, baddest bounty hunter ever. He could capture Fett if he wanted to. Well, I don't know about that, but for what it's worth, yeah, interesting read, even though I think they're just trying to harp up their bounty hunter to be the coolest thing yet, and I'm sure the writer was thinking, yeah, people are really going to go for him because he hunts bounty hunters. Is it worth your time? I don't know. I enjoyed it. It's a very short story, but it is fun. All right, folks, that's all the time I have for now. See you next time with another video.